Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we are doing a digital review of a game, which is something we don't always do unless you're counting our board game arena reviews, first impressions, playthroughs. It's kind of similar like that, but a little bit different because this one is not on Board Game Arena. It's actually Gloomhaven, which I guess was all the talk of the town for years and years. But we finally got around to it here now that it's no longer the big dog on Board Game Geek. But I think it's still pretty highly rated. But yeah, we finally got a chance to play the OG Gloomhaven, not on the table, but a digital version. We did play Jaws of the Lion. You
Yep.
played it a little bit more than I did, so we kind of had a feel of kind of the Gloomhaven world, but never had played the original Gloomhaven, but had heard a lot of great things.
Yes. Same here. We used to be haters, doubters, but I eventually came around with Jaws of the Lion, and I don't think you came around as much, but I'll be interested as to where you are now. I think we will do a kind of full-on review of the game of Gloomhaven. We'll do a classic board game review, where this one I think will be focusing more on the digital implementation and how good of a deal we think you will be getting. And I will say, with this thing, you can get it free
If you go right now,
yes, this will last until, let's see here, as it listed here, some questions. What is included in this offer? When does it end? It goes from April 17th, which is a ways ago, and it ends on June 18th, 2025. So not that much time left. We heard about this. It is, I guess, Epic Games and Prime, or Amazon Prime, are doing a deal here. So
you
if
have
you
to have
can,
Prime. But
yes, you have to have Prime, and I think to play, you're gonna have to make an Epic Games account, and then you can get Gloomhaven for free, which almost everyone has a Prime account. Most people do. It's just too good of a deal. So when you sent this to me, I'm like, is this real? Is this legit? Because you had bought the game on Steam, I think, when it was on a deal, not a free deal, but
yeah,
you
yeah, I
just
think it was like a pretty significant amount off, which I don't know. I don't typically use Steam, so I hadn't even I got that like almost a year ago now. And yeah, I thought it was a good deal at the time. I think I don't know what, I can't even think of what it would have been. Because yeah, like I said, I almost never do anything on Steam, and I didn't actually ever play it.
no.
Mostly because I was like, well, I'd probably like to play it with Pepper.
Yep.
So he's got to get a copy of it as well. And then when this came up, I'm like, is there any way for you to get this and it to connect together?
Yeah, because that was my worry. I'm like, okay, well, first, is this a scam? What's going on? This is too good to
Yeah.
be true. This is like $100 game, and it's legit. And we were able to connect. I guess I don't know if I did get it through Steam, if it would be easier, probably a little easier to connect, but I do just kind of create a multiplayer room and send you a code, and you can enter right into it. And yeah, got it here, and I think yeah, if it's free, it gives you Gloomhaven, and I think right off the bat that that is a great deal. And I'm very glad that we heard of this, and I'd like to get the word out there. If you want to try it, even if you've never played Gloomhaven before, if you have the slightest interest, I usually would recommend maybe going to like Jaws of the Lion or something like that. But because this is time sensitive, I would say to go pick this one up.
Yes, I would 100% agree. And I think most of the people that have played maybe the game version of it and have played the digital version of it would probably also agree.
Hmm.
'Cause I think Tom Vassell from the Dice Tower has said that that's the only way he would play it now, and I know I think that was his top game of all time for a while,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Or something.
Yep.
It was very high for him. Um, so I think that's the way he plays it now, and yeah, after actually getting some games of it now, I can maybe see why. Like I said, have not played the physical version of this, but I could definitely see with kind of what's happening, what it kind of takes care of. It takes care of like all this busy, busy work, all the unfun parts probably that are happening. Takes care of all that for you, which is awesome. And I could see why. you probably would not want to go back, and I would probably never want to play a physical version of this myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree there with all the enemy movement kind of being the big thing that it's handling, the focusing, who it's going to target, who it's going to move towards, how it's going to attack, all of the effects that will be at play. That sometimes things happen in the game, and it's like, wait, how did that happen? You'd be like, oh yeah, that thing. I totally forgot that that effect was in play or that condition, and it in real life probably would have forgotten about it and cheated accidentally, but in this one it just handles everything for you and it looks really nice with the animation, which I mean the game probably looks great on the table, but just here actually getting feeling very much like a computer game. I mean if they didn't have like cards popping up it wouldn't even really feel like a real physical board game. But I will say that you say that takes all the fun parts or the unfun parts. I will say flipping the card for your attack modifiers in real life. I do like seeing that scene if you two times your attack or something like that. Where in here, I think it just there might be an option. I don't think there's an option to have it like represent a card being flipped and show you a card. It just puts a little number above the defender's head of either a two times or a plus one or something like that. I think that could be a little tiny fun part that they removed from this version for this version.
Yeah, and that was probably going to be the one thing I'd say that I felt like was maybe would maybe be funner in real life is flipping that over and getting that a reaction. But there's still a little bit of that when it does pop up, and it's like it's not quite the same. I will agree, but there's still at least a little bit. It's not like it's completely gone, but it probably does take about 50% of that joy away from there from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but everything it handles with the villains. There was one scenario in here, so I guess if you don't want even any vague references to scenarios, spoiler alert, but there's one scenario where there was a ton of enemies, and it was a big open room, and each of them would activate, and you actually had some allies as well that would all activate. And I mean, it had to be over a dozen characters activating, like between our two turns. And I'm just imagining trying to keep track of that in real life, being like, okay, who's enemy number one? And then they do this, and they move like that, and then they move, and then they move, and then they move, and they move. And I'm like, having it still takes a little while. You can
Yes.
have the animation sped up if you want, and that was the first time I actually considered using that option. But it can take a little while, but it's still way better than having to do it by hand.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that myself at the time. I'm like, wow, this already feels like a long time. And this is with the computer handling it. If I had to do this in my own, I just feel like that would, I don't know, be taking away even more of it from me. Um, and yeah, it is very interesting because yeah, because of how much it changes that. I don't know, if I never had this and I just went straight into Gloomhaven. Um, I could see this definitely affecting what my score would have been if I had played 20 hours.
Oh,
So we've played about, I think, 20, 25 hours, or give or take. If I had played about 20 to 25 hours of the physical version versus 20 to 25 hours of this digital version, I feel like my score would have been different on what I thought of the game.
oh, yeah.
I think it would have been at least a point, maybe a point and a half difference.
Okay, I could see
So
that.
I think spoiler, I really love this digital version, and it's made me really, really love the game. And I suppose you could argue, yeah, is it now? Is it just more of a computer game? I think for what's happening, the mechanics and things that are going on, it still does feel more board gamey than video gamey to me. But I don't play all that many video games, so the thing I like would compare it to is like one of them that I do play is God of War, and I'm like, yeah, this feels way different. God of War, I don't think at any point really feels like a board game outside of maybe some of their puzzles. But yeah, this I can definitely see, doing the modular movements and doing attacks and stuff, and based on what cards you're playing, managing a hand of cards. Uh,
Yeah.
it still feels very board gamey versus at least the video games I've played.
Yeah, yeah, and this one does have, I think, additional scenarios It has a guild master mode, which I think has 100 new scenarios, and I think they said it was just exclusive to the digital version. And I think people talk that I'm saying I think a lot because I'm not sure. I've not tried it, but people talk that there's some things in those scenarios that could only be done on digital. So maybe that is handling some things, introducing some things that are more video game like, possibly, but I'm guessing it still feels like a board game. And I think that's another reason that to get this is because you're getting new content, not just what was originally in the board game, but kind of a whole nother batch of scenarios to play. So yeah, fantastic stuff. I agree. This is a great implementation. Biggest negative for me is the same with pretty much every digital implementation where it handles all this stuff for you, is you can't undo. There is no sometimes there's undo buttons where you can like undo your movement and move somewhere else, but like if you burn a card thinking something or you just click the wrong card, and most of the cards it's not like they have artwork, you can mix them up somewhat easily. If you burn the wrong card and move on to your turn, you're like, wait, no, I wanted the other card. You can't go back and unburn the card even though it was never the one you intended to burn. Things like that in this game, wrong movements, card selection, that can be a real bummer because it can really screw up a turn, possibly an entire scenario if you just misclick or misread something and can't undo it. Where in real life, obviously, you can just go back and switch a little thing. It's no big deal.
Especially since it's a cooperative game.
Yes, so that's, I think, the biggest flaw with this and most digital implementations.
Yeah. It's one of those things that keeps you honest, which I guess is depending on how you view that, because I think Tom Vassell has also said the biggest flaw for him is like some of these types of games where it is kind of these scenarios, and you have to take out a room of baddies or something, and you get maybe really close to the end, and in this case, when you're flipping those cards, like you said, you might get the times two, or you might get the one out of the 10 that you've got that doesn't do what you needed it to do, and maybe you lose because of that. It's like, well, do I really want to set up and go through that same thing again? Might take another, half hour to an hour. Do I want to do that again? We're just going to pretend that I did actually hit that so we can continue to kind of go to the next thing. Something I know I've heard Tom say that he likes to do sometimes. If you like to be able to have that kind of control, you lose that as well. Because yeah,
Yeah.
if you lose, you lose. You don't get to be like, but I was 99.9% done.
Yeah, that's true.
Over. So
That's true. Um, yeah, I guess other slight negative, I feel like there could be a few more explanations when you hover on cards. I know kind of in the kind of main menu and map, there's times where I'm looking at my cards and I want to like click on them, hover on them, and get an explanation of certain effects and things, but it's not always the easiest to do that, and sometimes they don't have explanations of things. Most of the things they do, like when you're on the map and you hover over a space, it'll tell you everything, but I think just with kind of the cards explanations in the menu, I think I've had trouble with uh, finding any information on clarity on certain things. And a couple times when I don't know if it's our issue, could be our issue, could be something that we're on Steam and we're on my account, but you get disconnected, usually at least once per session when we exit a scenario or just get into one, and it's like, oh, gotta invite them back, and it's like, oh, you can't rejoin until we're back in Gloomhaven or starting a scenario. Just some weird
weird
thing
stuff.
that is causing you to disconnect, but for the main part, once you're in there, it's usually pretty good connection.
Mhm. I would agree. And yeah, I don't know if that's something where I should just try to get one of these free ones myself. I'm not sure if that would
Yeah.
make it better. I don't. Like I said, I don't play like any games at all on Steam. I don't know how the Steam works. I'm sure there's a lot of experts out there that most of you guys listening probably know how it works and understand it and stuff. So you'll know better than I will how that kind of thing works. But yeah, I don't know if it has anything to do with that or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think what would I buy this for? Like
Ooh,
Obviously, now I would go try it.
yeah,
Free, it's free. I don't know how it's free. I don't get it because I don't even know that it has like usually I would think like, oh, it's free so that you buy this
yeah,
add-on thing or whatever DLC pack things. I don't know that this has like much of that, so
yeah.
I
It just
don't
has.
quite get where that's coming from.
Yeah,
But
it has actual physical things, like it has Jaws of the Lion. You can add that in there. The solo scenarios. It's pretty much the same as in real life what they released as expansion. So
yeah, I don't really get that. But yeah, I you get a lot of well, yeah, we're only 20 some hours in. I guess I don't know. I'm not quite sure how long it'll end up being, but
yep,
I mean, just at that, I feel like we still have a lot to do, and
yeah,
we're already got 20 hours worth of time out of it. And I'm thinking, at $2 an hour, that'd be $40. I think it was worth it to me. I guess it
yeah,
depends if you're worried that you won't like it.
yeah. I think that's really
I
the
think
main
it's at
thing.
least worth 40
Yeah,
for
I,
me
I think
at a
so.
minimum if you're willing to do this. But then I suppose too, if you are, again, my lack of knowledge, you guys will maybe know more. I don't know if both people have to, if you were going to play this with other people, if you all have to own it. Because then I
Mm,
could see it being like, oh, I've got to pay 40, you've got to pay 40, you've got to pay. Then it could be getting up there. But I don't know. I don't know what games usually cost on Steam, so maybe that's not what it usually costs. I don't even know. But I mean, yeah, the base game, if you're getting the physical copy of it at 100 some bucks, and this one takes care of almost all the stuff for you, I just don't understand how
yeah, yeah. I
this
would.
isn't more. I don't get it, but
I
yeah,
mean,
this is a great deal,
I'm
is what
ended
I'm
up.
saying. If you think you're gonna like this game, um, yeah, I think it's worth quite a bit. But
Yeah, this has kind of brought Gloomhaven back up. I think it had fallen down my kind of rankings of favorite games, just because it's hard to get to the table. And we got buttons and bugs, and then this digital implementation that have just made it so approachable, playing it more than ever, and it gets me back into it. So I'm like, it's totally worth it. It's a 10 out of 10 deal because it's free and it's a great thing.
yes,
Implementation, like I said, just those couple negatives, maybe bring it down from a 10 to maybe just slightly lower, still in the nines for the implementation. And yeah, I'd probably pay. I'd pay. I think it's at least worth as much as whatever you'd get the physical version for. I mean, if you love the game, uh, I would highly recommend it.
yeah, I agree. But yeah, I think this is the only one we've played like this. Let us know in the comments below. I think there's like Tabletop Simulator on Steam and stuff. Never really used any of that. Let's know if there's other great board games and stuff out there on Steam that are much easier to play on here versus maybe a physical copy. Something that we maybe haven't played. I don't know. I haven't really ever looked at it too much, but this one in particular, just because I had heard Tom talk about only playing the digital version, and I was like, hmm. And I saw it was on a deal last year, and now it's even a better deal.
Yeah,
And yeah, I'm just like, wow, maybe there's some other games that I maybe would have never played, but this maybe takes care of the kind of those messy things for you. So yeah, let us know if you know any of those. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to eventually see our review of Gloomhaven. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.